failure is seen as a terminal thing, because actually there's a lot of very jealous and incapable, and I say incapable people out there that love to see people fail. We hired the wrong people at first and spent £1 million that we then ripped up and had to start again. I've been speaking to, Foxtons and LSL and actually Michael Bruce at Purple Bricks, One Dome, a whole bunch of other people that I've never mentioned before, by the way, Johnny. You're getting all this exclusively. This is another exclusive, by the way, Johnny. There's loads of stuff in here, I've never told anybody this, by the way. I don't know if I should tell you this. If I was under an NDA, it's definitely expired now. Here's another exclusive. This is about exclusive number 6, Johnny. Well, whose fault's that? Stop bloody moaning about it and do something about it.
So yeah, I mean, obviously everyone knows what happened with emoov, and that ended. And you said earlier about having these failures. I don't think you should see it as failures. You learn your lesson, or you learn what happened, and it didn't work out, and you've bounced back, and you're now doing, I guess, what you're passionate about, which is the PR stuff through propaganda. Was it difficult to bounce back? Did you find that hard, or was it quite an easy? Obviously you want to follow your passions now, I guess.
It definitely weighs hard on you. So you worry about the humiliation of failure, because of course you're going to get stick. Particularly when you've been as outspoken as I was about the industry. So I knew that there were lots of people going to be kind of, clapping and smiling at my failure. But you kind of get prepared for that. And the main thing was, I'd been taking a salary from emoov. I'd never taken any money out of it as in cashing shares or anything. So I'd never had a big check. I just had a salary, which actually the first 2 years was zero. Then it was about 60 grand for many, many years until the end. A bit more than that the last couple of years, to be honest. But so I worried about how I was going to pay the bills. I remember my wife saying to me when I said to her, look, this was kind of late November, I said, I don't think I can save this. I'd been trying to sell the business because I realised we couldn't raise money. I'd been speaking to, Foxtons and LSL and actually Michael Bruce at Purple Bricks, One Dome, a whole bunch of other people that I've never mentioned before, by the way, Johnny. You're getting all this exclusively.
Amazing.
99 sort of doorsteps, a whole bunch of others, many of whom were just kicking the tyres. They just wanted to see what we had. But we, Foxton's actually, in fairness to Nick Budden, we were having a very serious conversation with Nick Budden at the time. So I've tried to sell the business, but when I realised that was becoming less and less likely, my wife had said to me, she said, are we going to be okay? Can we live? Can we pay the school fees? And I thought, shit, it's got really real now. So I had to think fast, realising, as we said earlier on, that I probably wasn't going to just walk into, become CEO of Countrywide, much as I probably should have had that position back then.
Well, they be now.
Anyway, so I had to kind of reinvent myself, and literally what I did was to obviously recognise that I have this inbuilt thing with property. I just, I'll always be involved in property because I know it. I'm quite good at it. I can talk about it, and above all, I enjoy it. But I thought, look, being a humble estate agent on my own is probably not going to be enough. And then there's a cash flow issue, which is, of course, day one, go out, try and find some listings, list something, sell it, don't bank any money for 6 months. What became, honestly, within minutes, actually, I'm not talking about days or even hours here. I'd been thinking, in fairness, for a while about what would happen if I span out emoov's PR into a separate company. This is very cheeky, but sold PR back to emoov. And then sold PR to other people. And James and I, he won't mind me saying this, we've been having this conversation since about May, June, July. This is another exclusive, by the way, Johnny. There's loads of stuff in here, June, July 2018, we were talking about that. And as we got towards the end of emoov, obviously that conversation in my head, just with myself, was becoming louder and louder, because I'm thinking, actually, I think I could do this. And if James is with me, we can do this together. And maybe we should do, maybe I'll have to. Maybe I'll have to. So it was the end of 2018, before emoov went into administration. Don't even know if I should tell you this. James and I were already testing PR.
Right.
Because we'd thought about farming it out as a separate entity and selling it back to emoov, and also because, as I say, the end was potentially nigh. It wasn't, and I was still determined, honestly, right to the end, that I would save it. But you have to be contingent. You have to think, but what if?
Yeah.
So we tested it with 2 external clients that I won't mention, and we proved very, very quickly that we could do PR for third parties. So when emoov failed at the beginning of December, during December we had Christmas, so the timing, if you like, was, big inverted commas, Johnny, good. I kind of, settled, spent some time with the family, and you won't remember probably, but it was, I think, the 2nd or 3rd of January that Property Industry Eye broke the news. Russell Quirk immediately reinvented himself as a PR guy. That had been in play in my head for several months. Reasons that I've set out. So contingency, something we were probably going to do strategically anyway. So it was a natural thing to do. We'd already tested it. By the end of February, we had 6 clients. Now we have north of 12. So we're twice the size now than we were kind of this time last year. And look, I genuinely absolutely love it. And bear in mind, this is not PR. This is not about me. I still do my stuff. So I do a bit of talk radio and LBC still. Nick Salmon, lets me write a column for Property Industry Eye every couple of weeks. I do my stuff.
Yeah.
But what I absolutely love is James and I and Alex coming up with ideas for our clients, and those ideas backed up by data and really good writing, turning into what is now something between 600 and 700 pieces of coverage for those clients every month. I mean, it's astonishing. We have clients that get more coverage now than we got at emoov. So I mean, one of them, for instance, Benham and Reeves, who are a big London estate agency that we've dealt with for the last year and a half. Mark von Grundher there, he's a proper dude now on the property scene. He gets about 200 mentions a month. Benham and Reeves, London estate agents. Look it up on Google, you'll see. So, but I get a buzz every single time Mark gets mentioned, or one of our other clients gets mentioned in the Mail, in the Express, the Times, the FT, Mansion Global, Monaco Life, whatever it might be. I genuinely, particularly if it's a big hit, it's a really big one, I get a massive buzz that we have got that client a mention, and it was down to us and our idea, our data, our writing. So look, I genuinely love it. But obviously I still dabble in a bit of property. I've invested in Keller Williams. I'm just an investor. I don't run it. I don't have any day-to-day kind of doings with it. But I still, here's another exclusive. This is about exclusive number 6, Johnny. I still list and sell a property every now and again.
Really? Is that because you just enjoy it, or?
Yeah. And because I got involved with Keller, and then all of a sudden, you'd have someone that I know from my distant past, let's say someone I knew when I was a counsellor, pops up and says, "Oh, you're doing estate agency again?" And I'd say, "Well, yeah, kind of. I'm invested in this business. Let me introduce you to someone." "Oh no, but I want to sell my property, but can you do it?" And honestly, when those deals become really interesting, like a plot of land that's just got planning permission for 9 flats, or massive barn conversion in Blackmore that I've just listed myself.
I saw it, yeah.
You saw it, yeah, and all that at £2.5 million. I think actually this is if it's someone I know and like, and it's an interesting property, I'll list it, I'll sell it, and obviously look, the way that Keller works, I as an agent, I retain 63% of the fee. So this week I've sold a property in Brentwood for just under 1.5 million, 1.48 million. I've done it at 1%, which is a terribly scurrilous low fee, but I've earned £14,800 individually. After splits, I will end up with about £10,000 as a fee for me personally, and that's quite motivating. So I enjoy it. I love the buzz of listing and selling, and the money from a Keller perspective, because I'm keeping about 2/3 of it, is very, very nice to do. That will pay for a holiday and a half next year.
Nice. I guess that's you're diversifying into these different companies. And do you have any intentions of growing any of these companies to the size of emoov when it was at its biggest?
Look, James and I talk about the propaganda vision a lot, and now that Alex is with us, we kind of kick it about between the three of us. Propaganda is growing really nicely and organically. I mean, look, a doubling in size in 12 months, organically. We don't spend any money on marketing. That's, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't want to get to a stage where we've got, 30 clients and 12 staff and a big office, and then you get some economic downturn and all of a sudden you're losing 40 grand a month. I've done that a couple of times. I don't want to do that again. So where it is now, which is very low overheads, and importantly, it's us, the three of us looking after those clients day to day. So we don't palm someone off to a junior account handler the minute they've been signed up. We don't do that. We look after them. So I don't think propaganda will get much bigger. If it does, it will happen really gradually. We'll bring in 3 or 4 more clients, maybe another writer, then another 3 or 4 clients, maybe another writer. The thing that will scale is the Keller Williams business, both in Essex, which obviously I'm invested in, and nationally. The Keller Williams thing nationally, I think it will be the biggest estate agency business in the country because of the way it's expanding. There's 50 agents a month being added every month, so it's gone from 250 to 300 to 350 this month. So we'll get to something like 500 agents.
Is that just within Essex, just with what you're doing?
No, nationally. No, that's nationally.
Right. Okay.
So we add about 6 to 8 agents a month. But look, show me another business that nationally is adding 50 agents a month.
I think it's the right model for the right time. People have now started to realize that they can get fired very easily, and now they, with all the backing and the support that you can get from Keller Williams, then I guess the risk to move across is a lot less than what it perhaps once was.
Yeah, and there's definitely a misconception. People think it's just a self-employed model and you're kind of out on your own. Whilst it's your business and you can run it yourself, work the hours you want, earn what you want. If you want to do a deal a month or 5 deals a month or work 1 day a week, that's up to you.
Yeah.
The support that Keller Williams gives you, where training, compliance, technology, and it's going to sound a bit fluffy, but the camaraderie around it, both as a market centre and the agents that we've got. So we've got about 53 agents in Essex under the Keller Williams Plus banner. There's, whether it's get-togethers, whether it's WhatsApp groups, whether it's help, advice and support, you're not on your own. You're on your own in terms of there's no one breathing down your neck saying, give me your numbers this week and why haven't you done this, that and the other. We're not Countrywide or LSL, but there's support there if you want help or advice. And the training is really underrated in the UK. In the UK estate agency industry, we think we all know it all and every agent's brilliant. And look, let me tell you, they're not. The industry is not that good in the UK, in my opinion. The training that Keller has, whether it be fee and conversion evaluations into listings or particularly, mindset and models and goal setting, and getting from A to C via B, if you know what I mean. That stuff, particularly when it comes to mindset and focus, is absolutely phenomenal. And that's why there are people in the US that, I think there's 10,000 Keller Williams agent millionaires in the US. Now what people will be shouting, oh yeah, but their fees higher. Well, whose fault's that? Stop bloody moaning about it and do something about it. And we could be so much better in this country professionally and in terms of the regard that the public have for agents, and we could earn much, much more. But look, let me tell you, in the UK, there will be dozens and dozens and dozens of agents now, and certainly over the coming weeks, months and years, that will earn 6 figures. And again, show me an agent at Countrywide, LSL, Purple Bricks, Connells, that as an agent can earn 100 grand a year. There aren't any. Yeah. But with Keller, you generally can. And guess what? I know that because I'm even doing it myself. In the 3 spare minutes a week that I get, I'm living and breathing it, And it's, even if you do it as a side gig, which many people do, who wouldn't want to keep 2/3 of the commission? At the end of the day, the agent has built the relationship with the consumer, nurtured them through the whole process, taken all the knocks and the aggro and given all the advice. Why on earth would you give 95% of that to Bairstow's Countrywide because Bairstow's happen to have the name above the door? For it all to be wasted on rent rates and head office profits. Yeah, Countrywide, when you made profits, remember that?
Amazing. Well, Russell, it's been an absolute pleasure, and it's been a bit of an honour because when I joined emoov and saw it grow, it's nice to be able to hear the story and the journey behind it. And it's something that I guess a lot of people sometimes don't see. You know, you see as the industry villain sometimes. So it's good to see. Yeah, it's good to see this side of things. And yeah, like I said, it's an absolute honor. I want to end it on one question. What would you tell a young Russell Quirk starting again, or what would you tell your children to a successful life and business?
I think we've covered it, but embrace failure.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, you know, if you're scared to fail, you'll never push your boundaries and your limits. Don't worry about failure. Don't worry about what the jealous neighbour says and sniggers as you walk back down the path and you have to dust yourself down and walk back out of the house again the next day. You walk back out of the house with your head held high, genuinely, and know that the things that perhaps you did wrong or that you allowed to happen by others, that you can learn by, to make sure that when you go again, you stand a better chance of success. You know, and there's a whole lot of cliches around failure and stuff, but you know, I think one of the best quotes is something along the lines of, you know, failure isn't failure, it's just a part of the path to success. Yeah. There's a book, I've got it here amongst all my different books. It's called Black Box Thinking by Matthew Syed. Read it. Anyone read it, honestly. It's about the benefit of failure. And again, it sounds a bit dry and it's really interesting. It talks about James Dyson and how he failed 5,000 times before, you know, he actually managed to pioneer the whole dual cyclone vacuum thing. You know, how the Mercedes-Benz Formula One team and the Sky Cycling team used purposeful failure, so doing something to see if it failed, and if it did, they did something else, but if it didn't, they built on it to win races. You know, we don't think about failure like that. We just think about it as, oh, I don't want to do that in case someone laughs. Yeah, you've got to start thinking about failure differently. So I was certainly in my teens and 20s, you know, scared of failure, of course, but you know, maybe don't fail as big as I did. You don't have to fail quite that big with 29 million quid's worth of investor cash and 140 staff. But then I guess maybe, you know, that saying, the bigger you are, the harder you fall.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the bigger you are, the bigger you fail, the better off you are, maybe.
Yeah. We should get that with your photo, with your face on it, like a nice little caption, and get it printed somewhere. Amazing. Well, Russell, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
No, it's been good.
Thanks for having me, mate.
No problem at all.
Good talk.
Andrew Russell, thank you.